So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our Starting Your Online Business Masterclass. This is actually a bit special in itself, since this is actually our first online event, hopefully the first of many. I want to reiterate that this event, although it's online, is a completely safe space, and we adhere to a code of conduct at our events in order to create the most inclusive environment for our attendees. So if there are any issues, please message us directly in the chat. Oh, sorry, just one second. I just want to give a quick shout out to our team who are all joining us today online, and they will also be moderating the chat as well. So feel free to reach out to any of them if you want to maybe be a part of a future event or be a speaker, or your company would like to host an event with us, please let us know. Oops. If you feel inclined, we'd appreciate it if you would follow us on social media, as we often promote other events or initiatives in the community as well. And as I mentioned, we're also always looking for new speakers and companies to partner with. So if you would like to share your story with our community, please let us know. You can fill out our form on our website or also reach out to one of the organizers as well. Before we get started today, I wanted to highlight the importance of the Black Lives Matter movement. As a diversity and inclusion group, we stand in solidarity with those fighting oppression in their daily lives. It's not enough to be not racist and complacent in these situations, and we need to be actively anti-racist. That being said, I wanted to quickly share some resources with this group in case you would like to contribute. So here are a few places to donate. The Nationwide Bail Fund is one that I've personally contributed to, and it divides up your donations across 40 or so different organizations in the United States. So I think that's also a really good one to highlight as well. Supporting Black businesses are also really important during this time. Where you spend your euros actually speaks volumes. So here are two lists which have a plethora of Black-owned businesses. The first being NL specific. So if you live in the Netherlands, here are some great businesses that you can support locally. And then there's an online store list as well from BuzzFeed, which I thought was really great as well. So online shopping has been very prevalent in my life since COVID-19 at least. So it's good to know that there are other Black businesses out there to support as well online. Staying educated on these topics is more important than ever. So here are a few books which come highly recommended as well. And last but certainly not least, here are a few courses that many folks in my network are partaking in that have also come highly recommended. But if you have any more suggestions on any of the things I have discussed, or places to donate, or ways to get involved, please add them to the chat. We would love to hear your feedback as well. Now let's get started on our masterclass. So please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat if you haven't already done so, where you're from, maybe what you do. If you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A section. And you can also upvote your favorite questions in the Q&A. Oops, sorry. Now to introduce our amazing speaker for today, Mariko Neighbor. Mariko is the founder and owner of Sell Your Stuff Online, the go-to for e-commerce entrepreneurs, and has been a great friend of mine over the last few years as well. Her mission is to make marketing and branding accessible and, above all, highly effective and fun. For over 10 years, she ran the popular jewelry brand and web shop Apple Pie Pieces, which she sold in 2018. And together with her husband, Mark, she runs a branding agency called Loaded Inc. B&O with clients such as Daimler Chrysler, Grand Hotel, Kurthaus, Heinz Europe, UNICEF, and many, many more. So Mariko, over to you.
Yeah. Hi, Amanda. Thank you for introducing me like this. Thank you for having me, She Sharp. I'm really excited to do this presentation, and I'm the first. Thank you.
It's pretty fitting that it's Sell Your Stuff Online and it's an online presentation. So
yeah. Well, welcome in my pink cave. Here's where I record my courses and programs, and I will now share my screen for you. Let's see, and start off. Yeah. hopefully you will see something really nice in a minute.
Yep, all good from this
Yeah.
side. Yep.
Okay. Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for having me again. And I love to share 10 essential steps on starting your online business. And I'm really curious if there already are some online entrepreneurs here, or and I'm not sure, but you know what? I'll start the presentation, and then afterwards you can ask me anything. Okay, this is me in a nutshell. I'm from Scheveningen, the Netherlands, and I'm a graphic designer since 1996 already. Um, Mark Naber on the left top is my husband, and I met him in Rotterdam, where we both studied design. We quickly knew that we wanted to be entrepreneurs, and in 1997 we started Loaded Ink P&O. Loaded Ink is a branding agency, and we work for the clients that Amanda just mentioned, and really large companies, but also really tiny startups and everything in between. Then in 2008, I started this jewelry brand because I was not being creative at all. I was just, yeah, making my clients happy, making our employees happy. And creativity is something that's, well, deep inside me, and I was just not doing anything like that anymore. So I started this tiny business with a web store. And if there's anything you will learn, you can take with you today, it's the following. It started as Apple Pie Pussy, and if you name your business, never ever ever do something like that, because that's yeah, well, figure it out. It's well, Apple Pie Pieces it became, and it went from really tiny to something really big where we could live from. And in 2010, our son Scott was born. Everything went really well, and then everyone asked me, how do you do, how do you build a web store, and how can you be so that successful that you can live from it? So I wrote this book, Sell Yourself Online, in 2014. And that book is still available. It's the 5th print now, and it's still very current. It's really up to date. And that proves to me that an entrepreneurship has certain steps which are universal, and can, if the steps are right, it's something that can last for years. Then we became with Sell Yourself Online Shopify partner in 2018, and I think Shopify is the best software around to make your own web store. We use it for all our clients and for our own projects. So this is me in a nutshell. And now I wanted to take you with me on a journey and look at the 10 essential steps on how to successfully start your own online business. That's what I'm going to show you today, all the steps that I came upon in the last few years, and the 20 years I'm now an entrepreneur. And you'll get a swipe file if you like afterwards. I have a landing page, and there you can download the swipe file of the sheets I'll show you, which I show you now. Okay, let's go. This masterclass is for you if you own an online business or web store, or if you want to start one, or if you're interested in how to build a brand, because like I said, it's quite universal, the steps that you'll see. The 10 essential steps. Well, at first you need a kick-ass plan, because hope is clearly not a strategy. You don't start without a good idea or a solid plan, because a good idea is something between what you really like what you really enjoy doing, and something that is in high demand. So if you want to do something that is that's not in demand, then you're an artist who does anything for her or himself. So it's something in between those 2 points, and a solid business plan is something you can't do without. Fortunately, it doesn't have to be a lot of work, that business plan. It can be literally 1 sheet of paper. And in the landing page I give you afterwards, you can also see a link to a 1-page business plan I have. And it's really recommended that you write it down, write everything down that is in your head. Yeah, planning is everything. And I also have this Master Your Plan ebook, but that's something else. However, planning is really necessary because I am a really chaotic person. And if I don't plan something, it just won't happen. I always see it like going on a holiday in normal times, not in times with Corona or something. Because, well, if you want to go on holiday, you plan 3 months or maybe 4, 5, 6 months in advance your great destination. Then you book your tickets, you book your hotel, and everything is planned. And then one day it's time to go, and then you go. And that's the beauty of making a really good plan. Just plan it and it will eventually happen. 2, the second step in how to find something that really fits you is find your flow. Because where your focus goes, energy flows. Flow is also where your passion lies. And if you're not passionate about what you're going to sell, just don't start, because you will not keep it up. If you want to keep the shop running in less fortunate times, then it's much easier with something you really like. So try to find something that you really like. And in the next steps, I'll show you why that's so important. But for flow, I have 4 simple tips. 4 simple tips to find your flow. And the first one is make your own space. I told you about my pink cave. Well, it's literally the tiniest room in the house, but we painted it pink. And I have a nice chair and I have my little desk. We have another office where I usually sit. But when I really want to work hard on something, on a course, I make the course here with but also when I have to write something where I really need to be focused, I do it here. This is my tiny little space. And that's when I'm really focused, I get in that flow and I can do a million things in 30 minutes. Then give yourself some time. And if you don't have any space to make it your own, put on your headset, make your own cocoon. Then the second tip is give yourself some time. If you're in a hurry, you can't get in the flow. So you have to be a bit patient with yourself and a bit easy on yourself to get that flow going. Then let it go. Flow goes and energy flows where, flow has to be loose. So if anything is bothering you, try to deal with it first. Or if you can't deal with it, just let it go for a while and look at it another time. Then develop your skills, because when you're really skilled, you can work in a better flow. Well, I can go on like this, but we're just at point 2, so I have to go on. find your flow. Then step number 3 is so important with everything you do, with marketing, with starting a business, with everything you do. You need to target your audience. Because what Seth Godin says is everyone is not your customer. And yeah, that's as true as it gets. Make a good client avatar. There are so many entrepreneurs, so many startups that came to me and said, I want to be there for everyone. But that's the point. You can't keep focus on everyone. So yeah, you reach no one if you want to shout at everyone, no one hears you. So yeah, to make a good client avatar, I have 4 tips for you. Determine the characteristics of your avatar. That's the one thing you should do right away if you've never done this. Look at your avatar. Who do you want to sell something? And is she female? Is it a man? Do they have kids? Is she engaged? What age is he or she? Where does he or she lives? All kinds of characteristics you need to know of your client avatar. And then all these things you learn by researching the client avatar. I don't know, well, yeah, client avatar. I'm not daily speaking English, so I think you noticed. Well, research your avatar, and the internet is, of course, a great place to check out your avatar. Then document your findings. Make a good spreadsheet or a good file and write everything down. Again, write everything down because you'll lose it. And then make your plan to attract your avatar. And that's, of course, a cool marketing plan. But if you've never done this and you want to start something new, this is the way to go. And this is definitely a really important step. Then we'll go to define your niche. Because again, when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. And that's Meredith Hill in my, yeah. A niche is choosing a special segment of a larger market. And that can be a certain product or product category. But the uniqueness can also lie in the identity of the brand, determined by a typical look or feel or color, target group. No, well, a niche is really good for your search engine optimization and really good for useful for marketing, because you can pinpoint directly all the cool keywords to find your audience. And of course, you stand out from the crowd when you choose your niche. And a good niche example is one of our clients, and it's called the Knicker Prince, and that's translated in the marble prince. And yeah, he only sells marbles, and he's really successful at it. He has hundreds of types of marbles, all kinds of color, and he's really smart in market his products, and he has obviously really good keywords to do his advertising with. So that's a good example for a good niche. Okay, then we go to 5. Be in the known. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. These are the words of Nelson Mandela. It's beautiful. Education is good for everything. It's also really good for your business. And why do you need to know everything about your service or product? Well, that's kind of simple, because when your customer expects it. Because if he has any problems or any questions about your product, you need to know everything, and you need him or her to tell everything about that product or service. And you can advise your client about it. And secondly, you will not be taken seriously when you lack the knowledge. And moreover, writing a blog post and creating content will also help a lot if you know every little detail of your product. So you need to know everything about what you're going to sell. That's really something really, really important. So our main goal is to make marketing exciting and not too hard and fun. And that becomes fun and exciting when you know everything about what you're doing. Then the sixth step is commitment is key. And again, Nelson Mandela's words, a winner is a dreamer who never gives up. And I'm I agree with that so much, because the woman you see here is a good example of this phrase. That's Shanice Silva Cruz. Like, I have to think about it. Shanice Silva Cruz is a professional BMX freestyler, and she's a Dutch woman. And she's also a friend. I chat with her daily because we are sponsoring her. And we try to make her more visible so she can be a sport influencer. And she is a really good example for someone who doesn't give up. She's a true inspirator. Oh, I think I see something in the chat. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Shanice is just in the chat introducing herself.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
That's great. That's great. Hi, Shanice. Cool to have you. We're going to grow your Instagram, girl. Okay. Oh, there's so much I can tell you about Shanice, but please check her out on Instagram. She's awesome. I'm going to go on because we're here at the 7th step, and that's collaborate. Competition makes us faster. Collaboration makes us better. And that's Sarah Robbins. That are the words of Sarah Robbins, and I agree. It's collaborate and delegate, because collaboration is gold, because that made us more visible to participate in well, the partnership of Shopify and doing things like this. But if you start from your own strength, that's really important. But don't try to do everything yourself. It's something I did multiple times, really, really bad. I try to do everything myself because I'm chaotic, but I'm also a perfectionist. So employees weren't all that happy with me all the time, because I did their work at night again. And that's not the way. It's well, find out what you're really good at, and then try to outsource the rest as soon as possible. I know that money is often the issue, but there are great virtual assistants that can just do a little thing that makes you a lot of time. So try to collaborate and delegate as soon as possible to grow and to expand and to do where you're good at and where you find your flow. So the things you're not that good at, or try to learn them, that's also a good idea, or try to delegate it. Okay, let's go to number 8, and that's show yourself. People buy from people. And believe me or not, I'm struggling a bit with English right now, but I think until 7 years ago, I never took place in a setting like this. I was so afraid of showing myself because I'm really critical about how I look or how I say things. And I'm really afraid to not anymore, but I was really afraid to say the wrong things. And I know now that it's really important to show yourself. And for you, it's also really important because your audience need to see you. Because what I say here, people buy from people, is so true. You need to tell about yourself, and your employees, if you have any, give insight in how and why you do something, and how everything is created and why it is created and why you can help them. Make it a good story with beautiful images, and show as much as possible the person behind the company. And that also gives confidence and generates the purchase also earlier. It is also something that I recommend when we're checking a web store for conversion. Conversion is something you can boost with trust in a web store, and trust comes earlier when you see the people behind the brand. So show yourself however, and on a video or just a photo and a quick intro. That's yeah, that's key. Then we go to, I think I missed a lot of chat things, but afterwards I will chat.
Yeah, we'll send you the question. I'll give you any questions that come up afterwards.
Perfect. Thanks, Amanda. Okay, 9 is branding. Branding on fleek. How could I possibly forget about branding? People don't buy goods and services. They buy relations, stories, and they buy magic. And that are also the words of Seth Godin, our marketing god. It's so true. And I'll show you with the 10th step. But branding is everything. It's everything. It's not only your logo. It's everything you communicate with. It's even how you pick up your phone, business-wise. And don't settle for less, because go for the best possible branding and your business will be taken serious. I just read an article about branding, that branding is the most sustainable and best investment you could do for your brand, for your business. And I'm totally agree with that statement. I think branding is something you should really have to take serious. And there are so many places where you can have a good branding design. Try to look at your branding as something. It's an extension for the key values of your business. So yeah, and try to let them design something that it's cool on the long term, not something that's just nice for now, but something you can really carry out for years. A good logo that you don't need to redesign in a few years. It'll cost you money now, but it'll cost you much more to redesign again and again. Okay, then I have this last really important step, And that is be the solution. And every product or service is a solution for a problem, even if you think it isn't. It's always a solution. And that is what you should market. You don't market your product. That's something we did 20 years ago. Then we said something like, here's water, drink it. Now, nowadays we say in marketing, you might be thirsty, let's help. And here you see in the background a bath bomb. People don't want to buy a bath bomb. Oh, and no, I'll tell you afterwards. People don't want to buy a bath bomb. People need a moment to themselves to rest and go. There's something on my screen. Oh, yeah, to rest and go on. So you see, that's the solution of the thing you buy. Then, I'm sure. Yeah, people don't want a ring. Yeah, it's nice, I know, but they want a confirmation of love. And that's something totally different than the product ring. Then people don't want to buy a lamp, but they need a cozy place to crash and chill. And that's this goes back to probably one of the most famous quotes in marketing from Harvard Business School. Professor Theodore Levitt, he once said, people don't want to buy a quarter-inch drill, but people want a quarter-inch hole. And as soon as you get that mind switch, you'll see that your service or your product is also a really good solution for your target audience. Well, running a web store is a great adventure, and if you do it right, it can really be an amazing career. In fact, with the right attitude, the sky is absolutely the limit. This was my masterclass, my 10 steps. I'm really sure that that if you follow these steps, that yeah, you can do anything. You can download the swipe file at sellyourstuffonline.com/she-sharp. And thank you so much for watching. And I'm trying to find the chat. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mariko, for your time today.
Yeah.
I'll just jump in with a couple of questions while our participants have a chance to ask any questions they may have. But as an entrepreneur myself, as someone who started a web shop myself as well, there is that balance between spending a lot of time on developing your product and developing your website and trying to make it perfect, and just shipping it and seeing and getting feedback from it. Where do you think is like the best, point where you think like, I've done enough, now I'm going to put it out there in the world and not worry about it being perfect and then iterate, versus like spending time on making it as correct as possible with the first go? Like how would you best recommend people manage that? Because I think from my own personal experience, I spent so much time trying to perfect it that it was a lot of months wasted that I could have already put myself out there.
Yeah. Well, I don't agree with the people who always say don't start when you're ready, or no, start before you're ready. That's it. I don't agree at all. But I think you should start showing yourself to the world. If you have your name, all your vanity URLs on social media, and a domain name, then make one landing page where people can sign up for your mailing list, and begin with showing yourself, and then you can already build up your audience. But you can make your own, your everything you say, that takes a lot of time. But I think if you have a good branding and a few pages and something to sell, you should just start, because perfectionists are, yeah, it costs you time if you want to do everything so perfect. A website, a web store or website is never done.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. And I think you kind of touched on something else that in your presentation as well, the education component. Um, that was one thing when I was working on Shopify that we really reiterated was building that that persona attached to your brand. So when you kind of like you mentioned, like having the About Me page filled in, really showcasing the human behind the brand. Something else we always advocated for was building a strong content marketing strategy, really leaning into creating blogs and content and developing yourself as a thought leader in the space, whether you're a marble expert or an agency, a Shopify agency like yourself, like just building that content in order to, you know, sometimes be one of the first people in that area of expertise. Do you have any other examples of clients maybe that you've worked with who have really leaned in on that side of things and had developed a great content marketing strategy for themselves?
Yeah, we have this content coach program, so I know a lot of entrepreneurs who go really well on content marketing, because that's the main marketing strategy where we depend on, just to share the great your yeah, everything you know, and all kinds of solutions. Let's see a good example. Yeah, that should be Dutch web stores.
Doesn't have to be, but if you have any examples.
Yeah, because all our clients are Dutch or Belgian. I think who's doing it really well right now is boefenaap.nl. A store for really cool toys, boys' toys, and really things to go to do outside and build all kinds of tree houses and cool things. She does it really well. And maisoncoos.nl, she's also participating in the program, and she's really going strong with her brand. Yeah, there are so many that are really going really well. And I think content marketing is the way to go with marketing. I believe in social media, but I believe that social media should point out to your blog post and your store, and then it's nothing they're just signs where to go to. I think you should consider social media something that's not going to last, well, you know, with the algorithms and everything.
Yeah, things change, but actually that kind of ties into a question from one of our attendees today. Ruben would like to know if, you know, what is the best channel right now to market someone's website or product? I know that that has a lot of variables attached to it, but in your experience, what is the channel of choice amongst your clients and why?
Well, it depends on your target audience, but I think Instagram is the best social to go with now. And if you want to give all your effort into in one thing, I think that should be building your mailing list, because the mailing list is always yours. It's you can have it at Mailchimp or at Klaviyo or at ConvertKit. The list is always something you can take and move to another service. Your likes, your followers, you can't take them with you. So yeah, I think if you want to give your time and effort to something that you really want to commit to, then it should be building your mailing list. So so you can strategically send out cool newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
But on social media, I should definitely say Instagram.
Thanks so much. And I think tying into building out your mailing list, an easy way to do that is offering a discount for signing up to the mailing list, or something like offering a PDF like you have. Content is a great way to build your mailing list, and a lot of times people love downloading like free educational resources or backgrounds or things like that in exchange for an email address. So I think that's the low-hanging fruit in terms of growing your audience as well. In terms of defining your audience, one thing I found that was really helpful for me when I was growing my brand is trying to get to that minimum threshold amount of, let's say, around 200 people, so that I could at least test and iterate and retarget and things like that. An easy way for me to do that was to look at some competitor brands and see, like, brands that I really wanted to emulate myself after, and see who their followers were, and see how to target, like, kind of like looking at like their demographics and things like that. And there are some tools online that help facilitate that. And there are some, hacky ways to do that by, like, changing the Facebook URL and things like that. And that also kind of ties into defining your niche as well. Like, there's Google Trends, that's a free tool that people can use to figure out if you have a minimum viable product, or what how many people are searching for things like matcha tea was really popular a few years ago. So everyone was making matcha businesses. So do you have any like tools that you could recommend to our audience today to see, like, because I think, it's such a cumbersome task, is like, how do I start? Like, where can I validate my business idea, or how can I define my audience? Like, it seems like a mountain that's quite hard to climb. But if you had any like tips or tools that maybe you use to grow your audience, or you recommend to your clients, I think that would be very helpful for this group.
You can find your audience in Facebook groups that are related to your own business, or your own branch, or area. And of course, competitors. What I like, that's a thing that popped up in my mind when you were talking about it. I like going to Facebook and the business Facebook pages of my competitors and look at what ads they are running right now, because Facebook is completely transparent about it. So you can't hide the amount of ads you're making. That's what I really like to do when I have a minute for it. And I encourage our clients always to do, how do you call them in English? Enquêtes, question lists.
Oh, like questionnaires or something of that nature.
Just with a Google form, and just to check if they're still liking your product, and what competitors they also follow, and then you know where your audience is going to, what competitors are still important to follow. Then I use, of course, Instagram, and check the followers of my competitors. I try to do the things here on my own, and not to look as much at my competitors, because I really want to make unique content and things that I think that should be there out in the open, and not to rely on what they do. And then other handy things to find your, retargeting is a really cool thing. And I use lookalike audiences. So I make a good lead magnet and make a good landing page. And then I try to, we use Kit for it. That's an app in Shopify. And Kit retargets, but I don't. I only use Kit for retargeting, so you can get them back to your product. No, I try to. We do lookalike audience in Facebook advertising, but also to Instagram, of course, because Instagram is getting much more important nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good thing. And you could do that with, I'm not sure if we always did it with MailChimp. So you could have your mailing list, so the demographics and the things your audience likes which are on your mailing list. You can let Facebook search the lookalike of your mailing list in their network. That's really helpful.
Yeah. To ask you a more personal question, what did you find was the biggest challenge that you faced when starting your own business? Was there anything in particular that stood out to you as, something that you invested a lot of time in, or anything like that? Do you have any anecdotes that you can share with our audience today?
I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, because my parents are, and there's no other way for me. And I think it's necessary for me to be an entrepreneur because I have a chronic migraine, and if I don't do anything about it, I have 12 episodes a month, and they're really severe. So I tried to figure out what I could do in a minimal amount of time that had a lot of impact. And if I'm feeling fine right now, but I could be in a dark room the complete day tomorrow, then my business will go on. So I decided a few years ago that we make courses and programs, and that when I'm out, they keep selling. That's the idea. So try to figure out what your goal is and what you want from your entrepreneurship. And yeah, well, I built everything around that that thing, and it's working really well. So that's something I should give to the people who are watching. And there's something else that concerning those migraines. It's there's always a way to be an entrepreneur. I think that's something I've learned. So yeah, it's quite personal.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with this group as well. It's yeah, I think, especially in this day and age, there's, I think, more and more not one way to work anymore. I think there are so many different options with, online businesses and things like that, or, working for a remote company that gives people a lot more flexibility than in the past as well. So luckily, entrepreneurship can be a path to, lifestyles that are not well suited to being in a typical 9-to-5 office environment. A question from Claire, my former colleague. How do you start off growing your customer base while still being compliant with GDPR? Yeah, so I mean, I can also speak to this a little bit, but you do have to have certain notifications and things like that in place on your website to say, that you're compliant with GDPR policy. And additionally, folks need to opt in to your website, and there has to be a way to opt out and remove that data as well. Should they request, or if they request that data, there should be a way to pull it. If you use a platform like Shopify or many other e-commerce platforms or hosting solutions, they should be GDPR compliant, so there shouldn't be an issue. Most of these big companies have already become compliant, so it should be relatively easy to pull that data, and usually there are plugins available for European customers in particular. Mariko, is there anything else that you think should be top of mind for people who are looking at GDPR?
Yeah, no, I think you already covered it. It's fortunately, it's not that big deal anymore, and there are a few points that you should really do and consider. And that's in a good privacy policy where everything is in. And make sure that you're available, so people can tell you to, well, no, not available. Be sure everything is prepared and everything is okay. And if someone complains about something, that you can show them that that you did everything right. That's everything. We have a few good blog posts, but they're all in Dutch on Sell Your Stuff Online. If you search on GDPR or AVG, then we have also a plan with steps, which you can download. And, yeah.
Yeah, I think this time last year or the year before, everyone was rushing to become GDPR compliant. Yeah. So luckily there are a lot of resources out there. And I mean, being in the Netherlands, it hasn't been as omnipresent, but in other countries like Germany and France, they're a little bit more strict with these types of things, and people are shutting off websites and stuff. So yeah, it's good to have these things in order as well. But nowadays it's pretty low lifting with plugins and things like that. So it really shouldn't consume a lot of your time either. One final question from the audience, from Dina. She says, Mariko, I've shared your opinion about Shopify being the best platform for e-commerce. Could you please tell me more about it and why you think it's the best one? I swear this is not a planted question.
Well, do you have a minute? Because yeah, well, I think Shopify is great because it has everything in it, and it has really solid apps, and it doesn't have. I never noticed downtime. That's something really important, and it's not open source or anything, so I really don't have any concerns about safety or whatever. I like the service. I like how it's really easy to work with. I know for sure if I gave my mom a Shopify store, she's not a tech at all. She would definitely have a store in a week. I know for sure, because it's really easy to use. Yeah, and it's beautiful. They have beautiful themes. I'm pretty, no, I can't be sure to say you can mess up a store in Shopify, but you can really beautiful store without making tons of effort. And I like that because I love shortcuts. Now, you know, I like doing little things with a lot of effort, with a lot of outcome. So yeah, I think you should you should do a Shopify store if you're in doubt, because yeah, it's developing also. That's also a really big plus. They develop really quickly. They're yeah, really on point on all the new things you should have. So yeah.
I'm also of a similar opinion to you that I would definitely, even if you don't use Shopify, I would recommend using a SaaS solution, software as a service. Open source exposes you to a lot of risk, and you know, I've seen some horror stories of big brands, big Dutch brands, on big events like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, their entire site going down at their peak sales. That was a very typical story that I would often hear. So if you're looking to go online and create an online store or even an online business, I would definitely recommend a SaaS solution for sure. Well, I think that wraps up our discussion for today. Thank you so much to everyone who stayed with us for the full hour, and whoever may be watching this presentation afterwards. Thank you so much, Mariko, for your time today. It was really insightful and great to hear your story as well. And of course, if anyone is interested in learning more about your business, they can check out your handles, Sell Your Stuff Online NL or Sell Your Stuff Online .nl, because there's tons of great resources on Mariko's blog. If you're looking looking to build a Shopify site too, she does a couple of master classes on that as well. So feel free to check out her stuff. And hopefully we'll be able to see you at our next event.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.